Marcus had always loved cars since he was a boy. He would sit outside on the curb of his neighborhood, watching the fancy cars drive by, dreaming that one day he might be able to own one. Life hadn't been easy for him. He came from a simple background, raised by hard-working parents who taught him the values of patience, kindness, and determination. Over the years, Marcus worked hard, built his own small business, and step by step turned it into something much bigger. Yet, on the outside, he never showed off his wealth. He was the kind of man who preferred simple clothes and a quiet lifestyle. On one ordinary afternoon, he decided to visit a well-known car dealership in the city, not just as a customer, but with a purpose that no one in that showroom could imagine. He parked his car across the street and walked into the dealership. He wore a clean polo shirt, jeans, and sneakers. His face carried confidence, but not arrogance. The dealership was shining with luxury cars, sleek sports cars in bright colors, expensive SUVs polished until they looked like mirrors, and elegant sedans lined up in perfect rows. Customers moved around slowly, some in suits, some with designer bags, while salesmen spoke to them with wide smiles. As Marcus walked in, he expected to be greeted like any other customer. Instead, he noticed the manager of the dealership, Mr. Collins, looking at him from across the room with a suspicious expression. Mr. Collins was a tall man in a gray suit, with slicked back hair and a habit of speaking loudly so everyone could hear him. He quickly judged people based on appearances, and his eyes narrowed as soon as he saw Marcus. Instead of welcoming him warmly, the manager whispered something to a salesperson beside him, and they both chuckled. Marcus ignored it at first and walked toward a luxury SUV that caught his attention. He gently opened the door, sat inside for a moment, and admired the design. The leather smelled new, and the dashboard lights flickered like stars. He smiled quietly, enjoying the moment, but that peace did not last long. Mr. Collins walked up to him, his shoes clicking sharply on the polished floor. "Can I help you with something?" he asked in a tone that sounded more like a challenge than an offer. "Yes," Marcus said calmly. "I was wondering about the specifications of this SUV. How's the engine performance, and does it have safety features for long drives?" Instead of answering, the manager gave a short laugh. "Sir, these cars are very high-end. They're not exactly the kind you go asking about unless you're ready to make a serious purchase." His eyes scanned Marcus' jeans and sneakers as if they were proof he didn't belong there. Marcus remained polite. "I understand. I'd just like to know more. I'm looking for something reliable but also stylish." The manager crossed his arms. "Look, I'll be honest with you. Maybe you'd be more comfortable checking the used car lot down the street. They've got plenty of affordable vehicles. This showroom is for customers who are ready to invest in luxury." Marcus took a slow breath, his calmness steady even when disrespected. He glanced around and noticed other customers watching the scene unfold. Some looked away uncomfortably, others raised their eyebrows, sensing the unfairness in the manager's tone. Still, no one said a word. Marcus stood up from the SUV and looked the manager in the eye. "I didn't realize asking questions about a car was out of place here," he said softly. Mr. Collins smirked. "It's not about the questions. It's about wasting time. My staff is busy with real buyers. So if you don't mind, I'd appreciate it if you left." For a moment, silence hung in the air. The disrespect was sharp, but Marcus knew better than to argue. He smiled faintly, nodded, and walked toward the exit. His steps were calm, steady, and quiet, but there was something in his eyes that told a different story. It wasn't defeat. It wasn't anger. It was the look of a man who knew more than the others in the room could guess. As he pushed open the glass door and stepped outside into the bright sunlight, the staff thought they had just turned away another customer. What they didn't know was that they had just insulted the man who would soon be holding the keys not just to one car, but to the entire dealership. Marcus walked back to his own car and sat quietly for a while, looking at the dealership through the windshield. He thought about his journey, the struggles he faced when people doubted him, and how often he had been underestimated because of the way he looked or where he came from. But he also thought about the opportunities life had given him, the businesses he had built with his own hands, and the power of staying patient in moments of disrespect. This moment wasn't new to him. He had experienced it many times before in different forms. Yet this time, it was about to take a very different turn. Inside the showroom, Mr. Collins went back to bragging with his staff. He told them that he knew right away Marcus wasn't a serious buyer. People like that just come to sit in cars and waste time, he said loudly, making sure everyone heard him. His employees laughed nervously, some of them agreeing, others staying silent, unsure whether to join in or stay quiet. The customers who had witnessed the scene whispered to each other, some clearly disturbed by what they had seen, but they quickly turned their attention back to the cars. Meanwhile, Marcus drove away with a calm expression. He wasn't angry, but he was thoughtful. He knew something that the manager didn't know. The dealership had recently been sold to a new owner, and Marcus was that very owner. Tomorrow morning, when he returned, he wouldn't be a man in jeans looking at cars. He would be the boss, the man in charge, the one who would decide the future of the same dealership that had just treated him with disrespect. As the sun began to set, Marcus looked forward to what was coming. He believed in fairness, respect, and treating people with dignity no matter who they were. And tomorrow, he would walk back into that showroom not to buy a car but to show everyone that true power doesn't shout, it simply arrives quietly and changes everything. Morning arrived with a soft gold light spread across the city. The dealership woke up early. A line of cars gleamed under the showroom lights. The glass doors were spotless. The scent of fresh coffee drifted from the break room. Salespeople straightened ties and cleaned tablets. A young receptionist arranged brochures by color. The detail team polished rims until they shined like mirrors. Everyone spoke in low voices about the same thing: a new owner was taking over today. No one knew much, only that someone important would arrive with the regional executive. And in the manager's office, Mr. Collins paced back and forth, rehearsing his best smile. He stood in front of the mirror and practiced a confident tone. He planned to talk about sales numbers, and how he ran a tight ship. He wanted to be seen as strong, smart, and necessary. He told himself he would impress the new owner so much that his job would become even more secure. He adjusted his silver tie clip, brushed a speck of dust from his lapel, and called a quick meeting with his staff before the doors opened. "Listen up," he said, clapping his hands. "We have a big day. New ownership means high expectations. Stay sharp. Be selective with your time. We don't entertain people who are not serious buyers. Focus on customers who look like they're ready to buy. Got it?" Some nodded. A few glanced at one another. The memory of yesterday's scene with Marcus still lingered in a corner of the showroom like a shadow. No one mentioned it out loud. The receptionist looked down at her neat row of brochures. A senior salesperson cleared his throat but said nothing. The team broke away to their stations, and the morning flow began. Half an hour later, a sleek black SUV rolled into the lot. It parked with careful precision near the entrance. Marcus stepped out, dressed simply again, but with a quiet polished dark slacks, crisp white shirt, and a calm, steady posture. He didn't rush. He paused to look at the building, at the tall letters above the glass, and at the reflections of the cars inside. He had dreamed of moments like this when he was young, but he had never pictured it would happen here, at this exact place, after yesterday's treatment. He drew a gentle breath and walked toward the doors. Inside, the receptionist noticed him first. Her hands froze on the keyboard. The senior salesperson lifted his eyebrows. A porter whispered, "Is that the same guy from yesterday?" Mr. Collins turned, spotted Marcus, and his face set in a hard line. For a second, something unsure flashed in his eyes, but pride covered it. He strode forward quickly, planting himself between Marcus and the showroom floor. "We've talked already," he said, voice low but firm. "You can't just wander around here. We're expecting important guests." "I know," Marcus said softly. "I'm expected." The manager forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Not by us," he replied. "Let me save you some time. This is not the place for browsing today. We are busy. Please leave the property." A small silence followed. The receptionist looked uncomfortable. The senior salesperson rubbed his forehead. Marcus's expression remained calm, like still water. He didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He only turned slightly as a black sedan pulled into the lot and came to a stop near the main doors. The regional executive stepped out. Miss Rivera, a confident woman with a precise manner and warm eyes. She was followed by an assistant carrying a folder. Miss Rivera scanned the entrance, saw Marcus, and her face lit up. She walked straight to him with an open hand. "Marcus," she said, smiling. "Good to see you. Welcome. Are you ready?" "Very ready," he said, shaking her hand. Everything changed in an instant. The showroom buzz dimmed as conversations cut off mid-sentence. A wheel brush fell from someone's hand in the detail bay. The receptionist blinked. The senior salesperson's mouth actually dropped open. Mr. Collins took a step back without meaning to. His eyes bounced from Marcus to Miss Rivera and back again. "Excellent," Miss Rivera continued brightly. "I want to introduce you to the team. Let's head inside." Mr. Collins found his voice. "Miss Rivera, good morning," he said in a careful, eager tone. "I was just handling our, traffic at the door. We're maintaining a high standard today, as you can see." Miss Rivera nodded politely in his direction but did not slow her steps as she ushered Marcus forward. "Good," she said. "We'll need high standards. Today is a milestone." They entered the showroom together. Miss Rivera raised her voice so the team could hear. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for preparing the store. As you've heard, our dealership has new ownership as of today. I'd like to introduce you to the person who will be leading this location with a renewed focus on service, integrity, and community. Please welcome the new owner, Marcus." The words hung in the air like a bell tone. People looked at one another, then at Marcus. A few clapped, though it started uncertainly, then grew stronger. The receptionist's eyes widened with surprise and relief. The senior salesperson straightened, embarrassed by the memory of yesterday. Mr. Collins tried to compose himself, but the color in his face kept changing. "The, new owner," he managed. "This gentleman." He forced a laugh. "What a, surprise. We met yesterday. We had a quick chat." "Very quick." Marcus turned to him with kind, steady eyes. "Yes, we did." Miss Rivera glanced at her assistant. The assistant opened the folder and pulled out a simple, framed document showing the transfer of ownership. Miss Rivera presented it to Marcus with a short, formal note of congratulations. Marcus accepted it and thanked her. There was nothing dramatic in his tone. He was gentle and clear, like someone who understood the weight of the moment and didn't need to make it heavier. "Team," Miss Rivera said, "we'll do a brief tour so Marcus can meet each department, and then we'll have a short meeting in the lounge. After that, Marcus will outline the vision for the store going forward." Employees lined up instinctively: sales, service, finance, parts, detail. Marcus shook hands, asked names, and repeated them back to people with care. He complimented the shine on a recently detailed sedan. He told the receptionist her brochure table looked inviting. He asked the service lead how long average check-ins took on busy afternoons. He listened to each answer like it mattered, because it did. As they walked, whispers followed, soft as wind. He was here yesterday. I saw the manager ask him to leave. He stayed so calm. He didn't even raise his voice. I feel awful. Maybe things will change now. At the sales desk, Marcus paused and looked around the open floor. This space is beautiful, he said. It tells customers who we are before we even speak to them. The senior salesperson, still ashamed, cleared his throat and found the courage to speak. Sir, I saw what happened yesterday, he said carefully. I didn't agree with it. I should have said something. I'm sorry I didn't. Thank you for telling me, Marcus said gently. It takes courage to say that. I appreciate it. They reached the lounge at the far side of the showroom. Sunlight crossed the floor in bright rectangles. A tray of fresh coffee and water sat on a small table. The team gathered in a loose circle. Miss Rivera nodded for Marcus to speak. Before he did, Mr. Collins stepped forward hastily. His smile was wide, his tone eager. Marcus, Mr. New Owner, let me just say how thrilled I am to welcome you. Yesterday was a misunderstanding. We have strong security protocols, you see. I was only protecting the store's, standards. We get a lot of browsers who Marcus did not interrupt. He let the words run out on their own. Then he inclined his head. I heard what you said, he replied calmly. I'll share my thoughts in a moment. He turned to the staff. Thank you for being here, he said. I know a change in ownership can be stressful. I want to make this simple. I care about three things: respect, service, and community. If we do those well, the numbers will follow. He rested his hand on the back of a chair. Respect means we value every person who walks through the door. We don't guess who they are by how they look. We ask, we listen, and we help. Service means we know our products well and we tell the truth about them. We follow through. We call when we say we will. We fix mistakes. Community means we remember we are part of a larger story. We support local schools, we hire with care, and we keep our promises to our neighbors. This dealership sits in a city that gave many of us our first chances. I grew up not far from here. I remember what it felt like to hope people would give me a fair hearing. We are going to be that place for others. The room breathed out, as if the whole team had been holding air in their chests. The receptionist smiled for the first time that morning. The parts manager gave a small nod. A technician near the doorway crossed his arms, not in resistance, but in thought. Marcus looked around the circle and continued, still in the same soft, steady tone. I'm not here to criticize who you are. I'm here to build what we can be together. Today we'll keep things simple. Serve every guest with warmth. Learn a name. Offer a bottle of water. Ask how you can help. We will talk more about systems and training this week. He paused, then added, and there is one more thing. Yesterday I visited this showroom as an ordinary customer. I was not treated with respect. Some of you saw it. Some of you felt uncomfortable. I understand. He didn't point. He didn't raise his voice. He just told the truth, gently. I don't want that to happen here again. Not to anyone. A hush fell again. The message was clear, but it wasn't harsh. It felt like a promise, not a punishment. Even so, a few people looked toward the manager. Mr. Collins fiddled with his tie clip, then set his jaw and tried another smile. Of course, he said. We can all do better. As I said, a misunderstanding. We'll review our approach together, Marcus said simply. We'll make it better than good. Miss Rivera glanced at her watch. All right, team, she said. Let's open the doors and do what we do best. Marcus and I will meet with department heads after lunch. Thank you. People dispersed with new energy. The receptionist stood taller. The senior salesperson took a deep breath and headed to greet a couple walking in. The detail team went back to polishing, but now there was a rhythm in their movements, like they were shining more than metal, they were shining the reputation of the place. Marcus stayed a moment longer in the lounge, looking out across the showroom. He could see the reflection of the sky in the hood of a blue sedan. He watched the first guest of the day step inside, pause, and smile at the friendly greeting. Small things, he thought. Small things add up. He turned to Miss Rivera. "Thank you for your support," he said. "You earned this," she replied. "They'll see it soon enough." "Some already do." He nodded. His eyes were kind, but focused. Today had begun with a clear reveal. The rest would be built one decision at a time. He stepped out of the lounge and onto the floor, ready to lead by example. The door chimed again as another guest entered, and Marcus moved forward with a welcoming smile, the kind that by mid-morning the pace of the dealership felt new, even if the building was the same. Marcus walked the floor with a small notebook in his hand. He was not writing much, just keywords, names, times, small things he wanted to remember. He stopped by the service desk, where phones rang and a printer hummed. The service lead, a careful man named Arturo, looked a little nervous as Marcus approached. "How are check-ins today?" Marcus asked. Arturo answered with honesty. "Busy. We have 3 walk-ins and 4 scheduled. Parts for the white SUV are late. I called the supplier again this morning." "Thank you," Marcus said. "What would make your team's day smoother?" Arturo thought for a second. "2 things. A better system for status calls in the afternoon, and more freedom to make a small goodwill fix when it's right. People get upset when they wait and we don't call." Marcus nodded. "We'll build that. Every customer deserves a call by 3 p.m. if their car is with us. If the part is late, we say so and we give an honest new time. If a small fix makes it right, we do it. Document it, keep it reasonable, but do it." Arturo's shoulders lowered with relief. "We can do that." Across the showroom, Mr. Collins hovered like a shadow in a nice suit. He watched Marcus, and his smile came and went in quick flashes. He seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once, appearing when introductions happened, disappearing when real work began. He spoke to a few salespeople in quick whispers. Twice, Marcus saw him wave away a younger staffer who was about to greet a guest who did not look fancy enough. Each time, Marcus moved first, crossed the floor, and welcomed the guest himself. A middle-aged man in dusty work pants came in with a baseball cap tucked under his arm. He looked around in that careful way of people who feel judged in places like this. A junior salesperson named Lila, no more than a year into the job, took a breath and stepped toward him. Marcus gave her a small nod of support. She smiled and said, "Welcome. What brings you in today?" Her voice had the warmth of someone who meant it. The man introduced himself as Omar. He owned a small construction company. He said he needed to replace 2 older trucks and wanted to compare a few models. Lila brought him water, sat with him at a small round table, and asked simple questions: how many miles he drove each week, what he hauled, what he expected from service. She listened more than she spoke. Omar relaxed, and his hands stopped fidgeting. From the edge of the floor, Mr. Collins eyed the scene and moved closer. "Fleet buying?" he asked, as if the words themselves decided the man's worth. "Do you have financing in place?" His tone was smooth but tight. "Mr. Collins," Marcus said in a steady voice, "Lila's got this. Let's give her space." "It's just that fleet buyers take time," Collins said, still watching Omar. "I want to make sure we focus on today's buyers, who everyone here is today's buyer," Marcus replied. He did not raise his volume, but the final word was firm. A couple of staff nearby heard and stood a little taller. Lila took Omar to see 2 trucks on the side lot. They walk slowly. She explained towing capacity in clear words. No jargon. She showed him the service entrance and introduced him to Arturo so he would know a real person if he ever needed help. Marcus stayed back and watched like a teacher letting a student lead. When they returned, Omar's shoulders were open and his eyes were bright. "I'd like to price both options," Omar said. "And I have 3 more trucks I'll need next quarter if the numbers make sense." Lila glanced at Marcus, surprised and thrilled. He smiled. "Let's set you up with a simple quote," he said to Omar. "We'll keep the language clear, 1 page. If you like it, we'll honor it for 30 days. If we can't beat a fair price, we'll say so." "Fair is all I ask," Omar said. They moved to a desk. Mr. Collins hovered again, trying to insert himself, but Marcus stayed near, casual and calm, like a quiet wall between old habits and new ones. In under 30 minutes, Omar had 2 clean quotes and a handshake. He left smiling and said he would bring his wife by in the afternoon for a quick look. When the door closed, Lila turned and let out a happy breath. "You did well," Marcus said. "You listened. That's the job." She nodded, eyes shining a little. "Thank you for the chance." On the far side of the floor, the receptionist answered a call that turned into a long pause. "One moment," she said, and waved for Marcus. He crossed over and picked up the second line. "Hello, this is Marcus," he said. A woman's voice moved carefully. "I wanted to speak to the new owner," she said. "My name is Renee. I came last month with my father to look at a car. We didn't feel welcome. I wrote an email to the old manager and never got a reply." Marcus listened fully, asked for the date, and took notes. "I'm sorry you felt that way," he said. "Thank you for calling today. Would you be willing to give us another try? Come by this week. I'll be here. We'll make things right." The pause on the line shifted to the sound of a small laugh of relief. "I appreciate that," Renee said. "I'll bring my father tomorrow." When he hung up, Marcus turned to the receptionist. "Thank you for bringing this to me. Anytime a guest sounds unsure, I want to help if I'm free." She smiled. It felt like the right call. By noon, word of the new owner had spread beyond the building. A few people came in just to look around and meet him. A high school teacher asked if students could tour the dealership as part of a career day. Marcus said yes and gave her his card. "We'll pick a day when the service bay is active," he added. "I want them to see real work, not just shiny cars." In the break room, Marcus met privately with department heads. He did not lecture. He asked questions. "What do you wish the last owner had asked you? What slows you down? What do guests complain about most?" He wrote down patterns: slow calls, confusing paperwork, uneven training for new hires. People were surprised by how much he listened. They were also surprised by how often he said, "We can fix that," and then gave a simple first step to start. At 1 o'clock, he met Mr. Collins in the manager's office. The room was clean and cold, like a showroom inside a showroom. A framed poster on the wall read, "Success loves speed." Marcus closed the door gently. "Thank you for meeting," Marcus said. "I want to talk about yesterday and today." Collins nodded quickly. "Of course. I regret the tone yesterday. I was protecting the store. We get a lot of browsers who sit in cars and leave. It eats our time." "I understand time pressure," Marcus said. "But the way we treat people is the story we tell. We don't know someone's story by looking at their shoes." Collins clasped his hands. "I lead a strong team," he said. "Our numbers prove it. We keep margins, we move units, we protect the brand image." "Brand image," Marcus repeated, very calm. "The best brand image is a person who feels respected." I watched you wave off two guests today. You didn't see it, but I did. Our standard is simple: greet everyone, offer help, never judge by face or clothing. If you are not willing to do that, we have a problem. The manager's jaw tightened. He tried a new angle. I can adjust. I can lead your way. I built this place. I can unbuild it, too, if I leave. Staff follow me. Marcus held his eyes. People don't follow threats. They follow care and clarity. I will be clear with you. I want leaders here who lift people up, not leaders people fear. You can choose to be that kind of leader. Your actions today and this week will show me your choice. Collins opened his mouth, then shut it. In that moment he understood the ground had shifted. He forced another smile. You'll see improvement, he said. I'll greet every guest myself. You'll greet the team first, Marcus replied. Earn their trust by how you treat guests and how you treat them. We'll talk again tomorrow. The afternoon brought a small test the store did not plan. A young couple came in with a stroller and a tired look. Their old car had broken down that morning. They needed something reliable, used, and affordable. They looked overwhelmed by the bright lights and shiny models. The couple stood near the door, undecided. From across the floor, Mr. Collins saw them and hesitated. For a second, the old habit nearly moved him to turn away. Then he glanced at Marcus, who was showing a car to a guest nearby but watching the edges of the room with the care of someone who notices quiet things. Collins inhaled, straightened his tie, and walked to the couple with a practiced smile. Welcome, he said. His voice was steady, not too loud. What can we help you with today? Their story tumbled out in simple words. He listened all the way through. He did not rush. He did not correct. When they finished, he said, we have a few options that might fit your budget. We can look at certified used models with a solid warranty and a fair monthly payment. Let me bring over a seat for the baby while we talk. Marcus watched from a distance. He did not interfere. He noticed how the couple's faces changed as they felt seen and not judged. He noticed how Mr. Collins slowed down and used clear words. It was small, but it was a start. Marcus wrote one word in his notebook: progress. At 3 p.m., our churros team began the new status call routine. Phones lit up across the service bay. Technicians called guests and gave real updates. A woman whose car had been waiting 2 days for a part thanked the tech for not hiding the truth. She said honesty made the wait easier. The simple practice already showed its strength. In the late afternoon, Omar returned with his wife. Lila greeted them with the same kindness as before and walked them through the trucks again. Marcus stopped by to congratulate her when Omar signed for the first 2 vehicles. She tried to stay calm, but her grin could not hide. Celebrate this, he told her. You earned a future customer, not just a sale. As the sun began to lower, the showroom softened. The loudest noises faded into light music and quiet talk. A small boy pressed his hands to the glass and stared at a bright red car. His father laughed and pulled him back gently, leaving handprints like little clouds on the door. A porter came by with a cloth and wiped the glass with a smile. Marcus stood near the entrance and looked out at the parking lot, at the flow of people who came and went in the shape of a day. He thought about the promise he had made to himself as a younger man: if he ever had the chance to run a place, he would make it a place of dignity. He could feel it beginning to happen, not with speeches, but with the small choices of many people. He pulled out his phone and typed a note for tomorrow: community ideas, student tour, Saturday safety check, scholarship for tech training, coffee with local elders. Listen first. A last guest walked in just before closing. It was an older woman with kind eyes carrying a small bag of papers. She looked at the floor and then at Marcus. Are you the new owner? She asked. Yes, he said. Welcome. How can we help you? She smiled. I don't need a car today. I just wanted to say I read the story online about your background. My late husband loved this brand. He used to say, a good car is a promise kept. Your words today felt like that. She patted his arm, simple and warm. Keep your promises. I will, Marcus said. And he meant it. After she left, he turned off a few lights with the team and thanked people by name as they packed up. The dealership grew quiet, the kind of quiet that holds a future inside it. Marcus locked the front door and looked once more at the showroom from the sidewalk. He could see his reflection in the glass, layered over the cars behind him. He did not see a man who won a fight. He saw a leader at the beginning of building something good. Inside, the evening cleaning crew moved like soft wind. Outside, the sky deepened to blue. Marcus walked to his SUV with a head full of plans and a heart calm from a day done with care. Tomorrow would be harder, he knew. Tomorrow he would need to set rules in writing and face the weight of past habits. But tonight, he let himself feel the simple truth of progress. Respect had entered the room and taken a seat at the table. It was not leaving. The next morning began before sunrise for Marcus. He reached the dealership early, when the lot was still quiet and the air was cool. He unlocked the front door, turned on a few lights, and stood in the center of the showroom. The glass walls reflected the cars and the sky like a soft mirror. He placed a whiteboard near the lounge, wrote a few short lines in large letters, and stepped back to read them. The words were simple: greet everyone. Be honest and clear. Call by 3. Fix small things fast. Give back. By 8, the team started to arrive. The receptionist smiled when she saw the board. Arturo from service nodded as he passed with a mug of coffee. Lila paused, read each line, and grinned. This looks good, she said. We'll talk through it together, Marcus replied. Thank you for yesterday. The doors opened at 9. Before the day fully started, Marcus called a quick all hands in the lounge. The room filled with the quiet sounds of people moving chairs and setting down cups. Miss Rivera had returned to support the team for the first half of the day. She stood near the back with her assistant, listening. Good morning, Marcus said. Thank you for being here on time. I put our first set of standards on the board. They are not fancy. They are strong because they are simple. First, we greet everyone. If a person walks in, they are our guest. We make them feel at home. Second, we are honest and clear. Our quotes will be easy to read. No tricks, no hidden fees. Third, if a car is in service, we call by 3 p.m. with a true update. Even if we don't have the answer, we tell the truth. Fourth, we fix small things fast. If a small act of service can make someone's day, we do it and document it. Fifth, we give back. We live in this city. We will be a good neighbor. He let the words settle, then added, we will start training at 2 p.m. today. Short sessions, week by week. We will build habits together. There were nods across the room. The morning felt steady, like a boat on calm water. Then the door chimed, and the first guests of the day entered. A pair of grandparents came in with a teenager who had a fresh learner's permit and a nervous smile. Lila stepped forward right away. Welcome, she said. How can we help? The teen looked at the polished cars with wonder, and the grandparents laughed softly. The whole moment felt warm. As the team went back to work, Marcus checked the schedule. Renee had said she would bring her father. He wanted to be free when they arrived. He also had a one-on-one set for mid-morning with Mr. Collins. He was ready for both. At 10, Renee walked in with her father on her arm. He was neatly dressed and used a cane. His eyes were bright but careful. The receptionist greeted them with a smile and offered water. Marcus came forward and introduced himself. Thank you for coming, he said. I remember your call. I'm sorry about your last visit. Today is a new day. Renee's father looked at him for a long moment, then gave a small nod. I heard you grew up not far from here, he said. My shop used to be 2 blocks over. I fixed watches for 30 years. So you know the value of small parts and careful work, Marcus replied with a smile. I think we will understand each other. He asked what they were looking for. A safe, comfortable car for everyday use. Clear price. No pressure. Marcus introduced them to Lila. She will take good care of you, he said. He stayed nearby so he could help if needed, but he let Lila lead. She spoke slowly and clearly, never rushing them. She showed them how the seats adjusted for comfort. She explained the safety features. When they needed to sit down, she found a quiet spot with soft chairs. From across the floor, Mr. Collins watched this with tight shoulders. He had been waiting for his one-on-one, but he drifted closer, as if pulled by habit. He took a step toward the table where Lila sat with Renee and her father. Marcus moved easily to meet him halfway. Let's keep our meeting at the scheduled time, Marcus said quietly. Lila has them covered. I can help close, Collins replied in a quick whisper. This is my strength. Your strength should be building people, Marcus said. Let them do their work. We'll talk after. Collins held his breath for a second, then exhaled and turned away. He went to his office, shut the door, and stared at the framed poster on his wall. He could feel the day shifting under his feet, and he did not like it. Still, he waited. At 11, Marcus entered the office and closed the door behind him. The sounds of the showroom softened to a distant hum. Thank you for meeting, Marcus began. I want to talk about leadership and the path forward. Collins straightened his tie. I'm listening. I said yesterday that the way we treat people is our story, Marcus said. I saw you greet the young couple with the stroller. That was good. I also saw you wave off guests twice last morning before I stepped in. I saw you move toward taking over Lila's guest today. Those are old habits. I respect the work you have done to keep this place running. I also need a leader who shows the team, every day, what respect looks like. Collins leaned back. I can change. I believe people can grow, Marcus said. Growth shows up in actions, not in promises. I reviewed guest emails from the last 6 months. Many feel unseen. I looked at turnover. We lost 3 good people in sales in that time. Their notes say they did not feel supported. I spoke to 2 of them last night. I want honesty here. The manager's eyes flickered. He crossed his arms. Change takes time. Numbers have been strong under me. That matters. Numbers matter, Marcus agreed. They will be stronger when people trust us. I need someone who leads that shift with me. I need that to be you, or I need to make a change. Silence filled the office like a full glass. Outside, a door chimed and closed. Collins stared at the desk. He was proud. He had controlled this space for years with sharp words and speed. He could feel that style bending under a new weight. He tried one more path. If you move me out, I can take business with me, he said. People follow relationships. Good relationships are built on care, Marcus replied. If you have them, I hope they last for you wherever you go. My choice is not about punishment. It's about fit. We are building a place of dignity. That cannot be half true. It must be true in every corner. He let the words sit, then finished with calm clarity. I'm going to end your role as general manager today. We will give you a fair severance and a letter that describes your strengths without harm. Miss Rivera is here to help with the transition. I will thank you for your service in front of the team. We will do this with respect. Collins' jaw worked. He looked down at his hands and then out the window at the showroom. For a moment, he seemed smaller, not because someone made him small, but because pride had stepped aside and left the real person in the chair. He nodded once, tight. "All right," he said softly. "I hear you." "Thank you," Marcus said. "If you need a few minutes, take them. We'll meet in the lounge at noon." He stood, opened the door, and left the office as gently as he had entered. On the floor, Lila had just finished a test sit with Renee's father. He smiled at the comfortable seat and the clear layout. "I like this one," he said. "I can see the road well." "We'll make the numbers simple," Lila said. "No rush. Take your time." Marcus joined them to answer one or two questions, then stepped back to let Lila complete the quote. He could feel how different the air was today. It was not about big speeches. It was about 100 small choices, each one pointing in the same direction. At noon, Marcus called the team back to the lounge. The room filled slowly. Some people could feel that something was coming, others did not. Miss Rivera stood near the wall with her assistant and a small folder. "Thank you for pausing your work for a few minutes," Marcus said. "I want to share two things. First, I am proud of the way you are welcoming guests today. I saw good listening. I heard clear words. I saw service calls going out on time. Keep it up. Second, I need to talk about leadership." Eyes moved across the room. A few settled on Mr. Collins as he walked in and stood with his back straight. "Our store is turning a page," Marcus said. "That requires a style of leadership that matches our standards. After careful thought, I've decided that Mr. Collins will be moving on from his role as general manager, effective today. I want to thank him for his years of hard work here. He kept this place running through tough seasons. Please join me in wishing him well." A soft wave of surprise went through the room, followed by quiet. It was not cruel silence. It was the sound of people adjusting to news that had been building for a long time. A few heads bowed. A few eyes met and then looked away. Collins nodded once to the team. He did not speak. Miss Rivera stepped forward, shook his hand, and gave him a private word of thanks. He left the lounge with dignity, walked to his office with an HR representative, and began to gather his things. Marcus continued. "During the transition, Arturo will step in as interim operations lead. He will coordinate between sales and service. We will also bring in a training coach for the next month to help us build our new habits. If you have questions, come to me. My door is open. Our standards do not just live on a board. They live in how we treat each other the moment we leave this room." People began to breathe again. A few clapped for Arturo, who looked surprised and a little shy. He raised a hand. "I'll do my best," he said. "Do it with care," Marcus replied. "That's enough." They broke. The day moved on, as days do, carrying new shapes inside it. In service, phones lit up again at 3 with updates. In sales, Lila walked Renee and her father through a clean, one-page quote. It was easy to read. It listed only what they asked for. No extras they did not want. Renee looked up and smiled. "Thank you," she said. "This is the first time I feel relaxed buying a car." "It should always feel like this," Marcus said. She squeezed her father's hand. "We'll take it." Arturo, now juggling two roles, stopped by the parts counter and checked on a delayed shipment. He found a quicker shipping option that cost a little more. He used the new fix small things fast rule, approved the difference, and called the guest with good news. The guest said, "You just made my week." In the late afternoon, the high school teacher returned with a printed list of students for a tour next week. Marcus walked her through a plan, a short talk on career paths, a safety walk in the service bay, and a can-day with technicians. He added a new idea that had come to him the night before. We'll also start a small scholarship for tech training, he said. We can help one student this year. Next year, too. Her eyes filled with light. That will change a life, she said. As the sun lowered, Collins stepped out of his office with a small box. It held a photo frame, a plaque, and a few pens. He walked across the showroom he had once ruled. He paused near the door and looked back at the team. Lilo met his eyes and gave a small, kind nod. Arturo said, "Take care of yourself." Marcus walked to him and offered his hand. "Thank you for the work you've done here," Marcus said. "I wish you well." Collins took his hand. "You're changing this place," he said. "I hope it works." "It will," Marcus replied softly. "Because it must." Collins nodded, turned, and left. The door closed behind him with a gentle sound. Evening brought a beautiful calm to the building. Renee and her father finished their paperwork with the finance desk, which kept the language simple and the pace human. A porter placed a small bow on the mirror of their new car. When they were ready to leave, the whole team near the front door clapped once, not loudly, just enough to mark a good moment. Renee's father turned to Marcus and said, "Keep your word." Marcus answered, "Every day." That night, after the team had gone home, Marcus stood again in the center of the showroom. He looked at the whiteboard and the simple lines written there. He thought about how change often begins. People think it starts with noise. He had learned it starts with kindness, with truth, and with clear steps taken again and again. He picked up a marker and added one more line under the others, "Teach by example." He capped the marker, turned off the lights, and stepped outside. The glass caught his reflection and the faint glow of the city. Tomorrow would bring another set of guests, another set of choices. He felt ready. Respect had a shape now. It had a voice. It had a home. And under the quiet night sky, the dealership felt like more than a place to sell cars. It felt like a promise kept. The next few weeks moved like a gentle tide, steady and full of small changes that added up to something strong. Marcus kept his routine simple. He arrived early, walked the floor, greeted the team by name, and checked the whiteboard by the lounge. The lines he had written stayed the same: greet everyone. Be honest and clear. Call by 3. Fix small things fast. Give back. And under them, the newest line, teach by example. He did not need to add more rules. He just needed to help everyone live these ones well. Guests noticed the difference first. People who had once felt nervous now walked in with their shoulders relaxed. A mother with twins in a double stroller found a chair ready for her near a quiet corner and a salesperson who brought her water before she asked. A retired bus driver who did not like long forms received a clear one-page quote that he could read without a magnifier. A teacher who had written an email months ago and never heard back was surprised when the receptionist greeted her by name and said, "We're glad you came back." One Saturday morning, the dealership held its first Community Care Day. It was not a flashy event. There were no loudspeakers, no big banners, no giveaways that made noise but not sense. Instead, the service bay opened early to offer free safety checks for anyone who wanted one: tires, wipers, brake lights. Technicians moved with calm hands and quiet voices. Kids watched from behind a yellow line while a technician explained why a small rubber blade on a wiper mattered on a rainy night. The high school class came too, wearing bright name tags and carrying notebooks. Marcus gave them a short tour of the service area and the parts room. He did not talk about money or sales charts. He talked about showing up on time, doing careful work, and being the kind of teammate who makes the whole building kinder. At the end of the tour, a student raised his hand. "What if you make a mistake?" he asked. Marcus nodded. "Then you say so as soon as you know it," he replied. "You tell the truth. You fix it. And you learn in a way that helps someone else not make the same mistake. That's how trust grows." The teacher watched with a soft smile. She knew that one simple answer would be worth more to these students than 100 slides on careers. Omar returned with his wife to finalize the order for 2 trucks. Lila handled everything with a steady hand. She kept her pen moving at a calm pace, not rushed, not slow. When Omar asked about the delivery timeline, she did not guess. She checked with the parts team, gave an honest date, and wrote it down in big numbers on the quote. Omar nodded. "That's all I wanted," he said. "A straight answer." He shook Marcus's hand and added, "I'll be back next quarter for 3 more, if this goes as smooth as today." Lila tried to hold in her grin but failed. After they left, Marcus told her the words every good leader learns to say often and mean fully, "Well done." Arturo worked quietly in his new role, connecting service and sales like 2 hands meeting in the middle of a table. He checked in on phones at 3 p.m. and made sure a guest who had been waiting 2 days for a back-ordered part received a call with a human voice, not just a system message. He authorized a small rental car for a nurse who needed to get to night shifts. He wrote it down cleanly so the accounting made sense later. No one cheered. There was no loud announcement. But a life became easier in a small, real way. That was the work. Not every day was easy. On a windy Tuesday, a sudden storm knocked out power for an hour in the afternoon. The lights flickered and the music stopped. For a breath, the building felt like it was holding its own inhale. Then the team moved. The receptionist brought out a small box of flashlights. Salespeople guided guests to seats near the windows where the daylight was still good. A service advisor hand-wrote updates and called people with a calm tone, saying they would follow up as soon as the system returned. Marcus stepped to the center of the floor and said, "We are still here. We still see you. We will keep our promises." It was a short sentence, but it held the building together. When the lights came back on, the room exhaled with a tiny cheer. Nothing fancy. Just relief and a feeling that people had shown their best when it would have been easy to lose patience. A few days later, an old online review from months ago began to circulate again, saying the dealership once made people feel unwelcome. Marcus did not hide from it. He addressed it in a simple note posted near the entrance and on the dealership's site: "We hear you. We changed how we work. We welcome you to see the difference. If we fall short, tell us, and we will make it right." He did not argue with the past. He built a better present, with doors open. Renee and her father came to pick up their car on a sunny afternoon. The finance process was as simple as promised: 1 page, clear numbers, no extra items added without asking. A porter tucked a small bow on the mirror. When they were ready to drive away, the team near the front door clapped once, not loudly, just enough to mark the moment with warmth. Renee's father stepped out of the car and handed Marcus a small, neat box wrapped in plain paper. "What is this?" Marcus asked. The older man smiled. "A little thing," he said. "I fixed watches for decades. This one came to me in pieces a long time ago. I repaired it slowly, with care. It kept good time after that. I don't need it now. I want you to have it." Marcus lifted the lid. Inside lay a simple wristwatch with a clean face and a leather band. It was not flashy. It was honest. He felt the weight of it, not heavy, but meaningful. "Thank you," he said, his voice softer than usual. "I will wear it when I need to remember to move at the right speed." The older man chuckled. "Right speed is the speed of care," he said. "Not too fast to miss people. Not too slow to help them." Marcus nodded, and his eyes held a warm shine that matched the watch crystal in the light. That evening, after the rush, Marcus gathered the team by the lounge for a 5-minute check-in. He pointed to a small corkboard they had mounted on the wall, a respect board, as the receptionist had named it. On it were short notes from guests: "Thank you for calling when you said you would. I felt seen here. My son learned something today. The quote was so clear. There was also a photo of the high school class in the service bay, all smiles and oil-free shoes, with the caption, "The future, visiting the present." "We don't chase these notes," Marcus said. "We earn them one guest at a time. Keep going. If you see a way to make a small thing better, speak up. If you catch me missing something, tell me." Leadership listens. After they dispersed, Miss Rivera stopped by with a quiet update. "Regional is happy," she said. "Complaints are down. Thank yous are up. Your numbers are healthy, but more important, your reputation is growing." "I'll take reputation built on care over quick spikes," Marcus replied. "Spikes fade. Trust stays." She smiled. "You're building something people will talk about in the right way." Later that week, Marcus made two decisions that marked a new season. First, he asked Arturo to accept the role of general manager. "You bring people together," Marcus said. "You move without noise. You make hard things feel simple. That is the kind of leadership we want." Arturo agreed with humility. Second, Marcus promoted Lila to team lead for new hires. "Train them the way you work," he told her. "Teach them how to listen." On Friday afternoon, Omar returned with coffee for the staff and a simple note that said, "Thank you for treating my small company like it matters." He stood near the showroom entrance and watched his two new trucks pull around from the detailing bay. He shook hands with Marcus and said, "See you next quarter." The handshake felt like a bridge that would last for years. In a quiet moment between guests, the receptionist asked, "What's next, Marcus?" He looked at the whiteboard. "We keep doing these things until they feel like the way the world always worked here," he said. "Then we find the next simple things to do well." That next thing arrived in the form of a Saturday morning tradition, a free seat check for families. A service advisor taught new parents how to install car seats correctly, using a demo seat and a calm voice. An older technician showed a teenager how to check oil, not as a lecture but as a gift of skill. A small table held coloring pages of cars for younger kids. The building felt like more than a showroom those mornings. It felt like a town square. One evening near closing, a familiar figure paused just outside the glass doors. Mr. Collins stood there for a moment, not entering, just looking at the lights and the people moving inside. He held no box, no folder. He simply watched. Marcus saw him and walked to the door. He opened it and stepped out. "Good evening," Marcus said. Collins nodded. His voice was quiet. "I wanted to see what it feels like now," he said. "It feels different." "It is different," Marcus replied. "People can feel care. It changes the air." Collins looked at the floor, then back at Marcus. "I'm working again," he said. "Smaller place. I'm trying some of your standards. The calls by 3. The simple quotes. It helps." "I'm glad," Marcus said. "Good standards work anywhere." For a second, the two men stood in gentle silence. There was no victory speech, no defeat. Just two people on a sidewalk, both changed by days that demanded better. Collins lifted a hand in a small wave and walked away down the soft blue street. When the day finally ended, Marcus turned off the showroom lights one by one. He stood at the glass and looked out at the night, where the city kept moving in quiet patterns. He could see a faint reflection of himself, the cars, the whiteboard, the respect board, and the small watch on his wrist. He raised his hand and touched the crystal. The time was steady. Not fast. Not slow. Right. He stepped outside and locked the door. The lot was still, the air gentle. In the distance, a bus sighed to a stop and then rolled on. Marcus breathed in and felt the calm weight of work done with care. He thought of the sentence the older man had given him as a gift, the speed of care. It had become the pace of the dealership, the rhythm of each day, the measure of each choice. Respect was no longer a word on a wall. It lived in 100 small acts that people could feel. He walked to his SUV, looked back once more, and smiled. The building behind him was not just a place that sold cars anymore. It was a place that kept promises. And that, he knew, was the best kind of ownership, one that lifted everyone who walked through the door.